Hi guys, so I'm going to be doing a video about antonyms. I did just do a video about synonyms, so if you guys are curious about that, definitely check it out. But I'm going to be going over antonyms, so let's just first talk about what is an antonym. So I would think of an antonym as something that is an opposite of a different word. So maybe an antonym would be um, something like happy and mad, because those are almost opposites in my mind, or um, uh, simple and fancy or something like that. So we're going to get into some examples, and that should really help um, determine. Yeah, so let's just get into some examples. So the first one is going to be ornate. So the word ornate would mean very fancy, and um, I think of something ornate as very detailed and fancy. We have our two choices are plain or colorful. So from what I just described, what do we think is the opposite of very fancy and detailed and, well, obviously plain. So that's going to be the answer there. So the next word is corroborate. So um, this is another good one. So let's talk about the meaning of corroborate. So corroborate is going to mean like trying to confirm or give support about um, maybe um, a statement or theory or something. So you might say, like, the witness had corroborated the boy's account of the attack. So that would mean like the witness was confirming that what the boy said was true. Um, so yeah, it's just like sort of confirming that something's true. So here, let's see, what would, again, these are pretty, I would say that these are pretty obvious. After you know the meaning of whatever the word is, it's not too hard to find the antonym usually. So let's think. Confess, would that be sort of the same thing as, I just don't think that that doesn't really relate to this word. So corroborate would be sort of confirming something or supporting it, whereas the antonym here would be contradict, because that would be doing the opposite. That would be not supporting. So that's going to be the answer here. Okay, so implausible. So let's first think of the word. I would first go to the word plausible, which is sort of the root of this, and then it's going to be obviously im. That prefix is going to mean it's not that. So plausible would be like an idea that's sort of feasible or attainable. Um, so let's think of implausible. That's obviously going to be something that's not really attainable, not feasible. And so if we look at these two words, not attainable, not really, that's going to be that the opposite of that would be something that's likely. So the antonym here is going to be likely. True doesn't really make sense because, again, doesn't really relate to the meaning of plausible. Plausible doesn't really have anything to do with whether something's true or false. So it's definitely going to be likely. Um, okay, so which word is an antonym of listless? Um, so that's going to be, so this is a word that means um, pretty like lacking energy, not very enthusiastic about things. So maybe a listless person is just sort of like in the corner and not very enthusiastic or involved and stuff. So let's think about what we have here. So we have spirited and organized. So from what I just described, I think one of them comes out to be pretty clear of what the answer would be. So if I'm thinking that someone's like not very organized, or sorry, I didn't mean to say organized. That's actually the one that's not the answer. Someone who's not very excited or enthusiastic, then the opposite of that's going to be someone who is spirited and excited and enthusiastic. So clearly the answer here is going to be spirited. Organized, again, doesn't really make sense because that just doesn't really have anything to do with, like, doesn't really have anything to do with the meaning of the word listless. So the most important thing here for finding these antonyms and for finding synonyms is having a wide vocabulary and knowing what all these different words means. That's definitely the most difficult part of this. So that's why it is so important to just be working on expanding your vocabulary like all the time. And even as a student in college, like I'm still working on expanding my vocabulary because there's so many words. Um, so prudent. So prudent's gonna mean someone who's very, I think of it as sort of like buttoned up. Maybe someone who they show a lot of care and put in a lot of thought about what's happening in the future. So they're very sort of like that's sort of how I think of prudent, very buttoned up and also just not like wise almost. So let's think of these two words. So we have foolish and conservative. So one of these stands out pretty clearly to me as an antonym. If I'm saying that prudent means pretty wise and really thinking about the future and sort of buttoned up, one of them does not really sound the same as that. So obviously, or I hope this is obvious to you guys, foolish is going to be the antonym. Foolish is like almost exactly the opposite of wise and prudent. So that is going to be our answer here. All right, so that's going to conclude all of our practice on antonyms. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. And um, also, if you are watching this and haven't watched my synonyms video, definitely check that out if you're interested. So hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.